All right, everyone, welcome back to another riveting Miss Shu Makes the Video for you. This time we are doing how you can set up the spacing and the formatting on your MLA annotated bibliography. So here we go. Bear with me. There is a fan over top of me in my office that's quite loud, so my apologies if you're having trouble hearing. But here we go anyway. So Noemi, who has been killing the game with this research project, has 3 citations in her annotated bibliography already. And I wanted to use hers as an example to show you how you can set up the formatting to make sure that it looks correct on your iPad. So this is an on your iPad video. So here we go. We're in her actual Google Doc. And what I want to point your attention to are these 2 documents. You have the citations, what they look like. Notice the first line of the, let's say the 3-line citation here, the one that starts with blueprint lays out clear path for climate action. Blueprint, that whole line is all the way over to the left. But notice the second and third line, the second line that starts with defense fund and the third line is just the year 2009. Those are in what's called indented, which is 5 spaces to the right. I know it's funky, this is just how works citeds work, but we need to make sure that your citations follow this structure so that the first line's all the way to the left, which we call left justified, and then your second and third, or perhaps if there's more than that, any other lines within your citation need to be indented 5 spaces. But instead of using the indent, the space bar 5 times, I'm going to show you a real quick way to do that. Let's add on the layer of what an annotated bibliography looks like. So you see the citation there. The first line, Adams, John, data on the change in temperature due to global warming, all the way centered to the left. The second line, ABC Books, 2012 period, is indented 5 spaces. Now look at the citation. The annotation. The sentence is that the student is writing about the source. It's indented in the first line, and the rest of the lines are all the way left justified, almost like a paragraph. It looks just like a paragraph would look. So think of it that way. The start of a paragraph, you always indent, and the rest of the paragraph sentences are left justified. So with this in mind, let's go ahead and actually do an example. So in Noemi's annotated bib, she has her first source here, and that source looks correct to me. First line is all the way left justified. Her second and third lines, which actually cut up a website, are indented 5 spaces, which looks great. Now we get to the annotation and we want to make sure, remember, it's just like a paragraph. So the first line is going to be indented and the rest of the line should be fully left justified. So we're going to go up here to this upper corner. If you see the upper right hand side, there's a little left justified button that's going to justify her paragraph in, and then leave the rest of her sentences, her second and third line, all the way to the left. So you see it starts with disabilities, and then the third line starts with the word million. All those are to the left. Annotation number 1, perfection on spacing and formatting. You'll also notice that it's double spaced, which is something else we'll need to do. So let's move on to her second one. It looks like her second citation, again, the first line's all the way to the left. She has 4 additional lines, which splits up a website. All of those are indented. That is beautiful. And the second citation annotation, it starts with in the U.S. per capita, health is 10,000 times higher than Australia. That looks correct, except that we need to double space it. I'm actually noticing that in the third one. So I'm going to highlight. I'm going to use my select tool here, and I'm going to select all the way down. We'll leave it there. And I need to double space. Now on the toolbar, if you see the toolbar that's visible across the top here, I don't see spacing. And neither would you. It's tricky. So if you don't know, here's what you do. Hit on this little A, boop. Go, it might default to text. This is where some of your text features are, sizing, color, etc. But we want to deal with paragraph. So we're going to go over to the paragraph side. Notice it has our little indenting guys there, but we want to deal with line spacing. So it's going to automatically set it up at 1. We want to put it up to 2, which is double space. And that is it. So now we're going to check her second citation looks nice. Her third citation all the way to the left justified. But let's just pretend for a moment. Oh, here, let's look at her last citation. This one is not left justified. This one, I think it looks like she was working on it when we ended class. So let's go ahead and look at that. Excuse me. So here we go. How to qualify for Medicaid and CHIP healthcare coverage, healthcare.gov, and there's the website. So we're going to put this, it looks like it's not quite left justified. So let's just start with it all the way to the left. Okay, so we know what it looks like. And then let's move this website over and see if, oh, nope, it wants to be its own line. All right, here we go. So the first line That's great. First line is going to go all the way to the left. So it starts with how to qualify. So how to qualify, that whole line needs to be on the left. And then it looks like it's not allowing me, because of space, to include the next healthcare.gov 2021 or the website. So I want to move those right for my indent. So if I just hit right, it's going to move the whole citation over. So I got to move it back. How do I separate the second line from the first line? Well, you're going to hit return. And then you're going to hit this justify. Ooh, and it moved my second and third lines. So let me show you that one more time. So if I just hit the right justify button, it's going to move the whole citation, including the first line. But we don't want that, because the first line is supposed to be all the way to the left. So let's move it back. In order to separate the second and third line from the first line, to move one group and not the other, you're going to hit return. Then you're going to hit that space, and it's going to, that indent button. It's going to allow you to move it over. Okay? All right, let's do a quick practice here. Let's assume that this was all the way over to the left. This is her first annotation of her bibliography citation, and we're going to, again, we're going to hit let's just pretend that she regularly typed it. Okay, so it might type like this, just automatically. So that's not right. It's actually got to be the opposite. It should look like a paragraph where the first line's indented and the second and third lines are not. So in order to do that, we're going to push everything over. I'm going to try to push everything over to the left, but it's not going to want to do that. So I have to hit my select tool, select the whole beast, and move it over to the left. Oh, I know why. No, I don't know why. All right, well, let's do the opposite then. Let's move this guy over and move this back. And see if we can't highlight this to move with itself. Okay. So now we want to indent this first section here. And then we need to move this and hit return. And we're going to move it all the way back over, okay? Again, it works the same way, the opposite. So in order to split the lines, you hit return. And notice it puts it right where it's supposed to be. So the first line is indented just like a paragraph, and any subsequent lines are all the way to the left. So now her first two citations are gorge, and they look exactly like they are supposed to. Let's just double check. Let's look at our annotated bibliography model. Ooh. Her citation starts all the way to the left. Second line is indented. The annotation, which is your words talking about the source, is indented the first line, and the rest of the lines are not. Let's check it out. Yes, her first source all the way to the left. Second and third lines are indented. The paragraph where she writes about the usefulness of the source, the annotation of the source, indented, and then the second and third lines are not. So this is beautiful. My only last reminder is make sure that your whole thing is double spaced, and also once you have all of your sources, you'll need to put them in alphabetical order, starting with the first word all the way to the left. So she'll organize by this name to canon, by the word US. Down here, author removed at the request, so author would actually be first. So you're going to use that first letter of the first word in the citation, and that's how you will alphabetically organize this. So you'll move, author removed all the way up to the beginning, and then you'll have T, U, and whatever, if you have any other sources. Make sure those are all alphabetical from the top to the bottom. All right, this video has been sufficiently boring about spacing, but I hope it makes sense to you and that it's been helpful. Noemi, nice job, and thank you so much for letting me